All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling one of the trickiest, but also one of the most powerful parts of the English language, the tenses. And no, don't worry, this isn't going to be some dry grammar lesson. Seriously, think of these tenses less like boring rules and more like your own personal toolkit for time traveling in your conversations. So, have you ever been in the middle of a sentence and just frozen? Wondering, should I say I worked, or I have worked, or maybe I had worked? Yeah, if you have, you are 100% not alone. It trips up pretty much everyone. But trust me, once you get the logic behind it, it's a total game changer for your fluency. So let's get into it. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to go on a little journey through time. We'll start right here in the present, then we'll jump back into the past, take a peek into the future, and then we'll finish up by exploring that fascinating world of what if. All right, first stop on our journey, the present. You got to think of this as our home base, our anchor point for everything else. We use the present tense to talk about two main kinds of things, stuff that is happening this very second and stuff that happens on a regular basis. Kicking things off, we've got the simple present. This is your workhorse tense, really. It's the one you grab for all your routines, your habits, and for things that are just generally true. Let's take our character Alex. We can say, Alex works from home. See? That just describes his normal, regular situation. Okay, and check this out. See those clue words on the slide? Always, every day, often. I like to call these little cheat codes. When you hear one of those words, a little light should go on in your brain that says, aha, simple present. The structure is easy too. Just the verb, and you tack on an S for he, she, or it. Okay, but what happens when you want to talk about something that's happening literally right now? Well, for that, you need the present progressive. This tense is like a spotlight shining down on an action that's unfolding at this very moment. And this just lays it out perfectly, right? Suddenly, we're not talking about Alex's general routine. We're talking about what he is doing now. Alex is working. The clue words here are all about that immediacy, now, at the moment. If you can shout look or listen before the sentence, chances are you're using the present progressive. All right, let's hop into our time machine and head backwards. Now, the thing is, in English, the past isn't just one big blob of stuff that happened. We have different tools to be really specific about how and when things happened, especially in relation to each other. First up is the simple past. Think of this as the case closed tense. The action started in the past, it ended in the past, and it is totally, completely done. It's like you put a date stamp on it and filed it away in a cabinet. It has no real connection to right now. And again, the clue words tell the whole story. Look at them, yesterday, last week, in 1990. These are specific pins on a timeline. When you say exactly when that finished action happened, you're using the simple past. Alex worked yesterday. The work is done, yesterday's over. See? Simple. And now, we get to the one that trips so many people up, the present perfect. This is the ultimate bridge tense. It literally builds a bridge from a past event right to the present moment. The action happened back then, but the result of it, or the experience from it, is important now. Okay, this slide is so important. Let's look at this side by side. On the left, with the simple past, Alex worked in London in 2020. That whole experience is sealed off. It's over. But on the right, with the present perfect, Alex has worked in London. Well, that tells us something about Alex today. He has that experience now. It's part of who he is. The exact time doesn't matter. The result in the present is what's key. So what happens when you're telling a story and you need to talk about two things that happened in the past, but one happened before the other one? How do you make that clear? Well, that is the exact job of the past perfect. It's the past of the past. This timeline makes it crystal clear. Both things happened in the past, right? His boss arrived, and he finished the report. But which one came first? The report. So by the time the boss showed up, the report was already done. The past perfect had finished is like a big signpost that says, hey, this happened first. All right, let's hop back in the time machine and zoom forward. Now, talking about the future in English is interesting because it's not just about one tense. It's all about showing different shades of meaning, from a decision you make on the spot to a plan that's been in your calendar for weeks. Now this gets everybody. Will versus going to, but it's actually pretty simple when you break it down. Look at will on the left. That's for a spontaneous decision. You feel thirsty, so right in that moment you decide, I think I'll buy a drink. But going to on the right is for a plan you made before you started talking. That lunch meeting with Alex is already set. It's an intention you already had. And get this, what if you want to drop your listener right into the middle of a future moment? That's what the future progressive is for. This time next week, Alex will be working from the beach. It doesn't just tell you something will happen. It paints a picture. It puts you right there with him in the middle of the action. You can almost hear the waves, right? And for our last stop, we're heading into a really cool place, the land of what if. This is where English gets really creative. These are called conditionals, and they're not about a specific time, but about possibilities, dreams, and even regrets. They let us explore different realities. Let's walk through these step by step. First up, type I for real possibilities. If Alex works hard, he'll get a promotion. Totally possible. Next, type 2 for an imaginary situation in the present. If Alex had $1 million, he doesn't, so we're just dreaming here. And finally, type 3 is for looking back at the past and wishing things were different. If Alex had studied more, well, he can't go back and change it. It's impossible. This is the tense for what could have been. Okay, so after all that, what's the one big takeaway? Here it is. Don't just memorize the rules and the forms. You have to understand the job of each tense. Ask yourself, what is this tense trying to tell me about time, about reality? That is the absolute key. All right, time for a super fast recap. Think of this as your cheat sheet. Simple present, that's for habits. Present progressive, that's for right now. Simple past, finished actions with a timestamp. Present perfect, it's the past that still matters. And will, that's for a decision you make on the spot. This right here is your course summary. You know, there's this great quote, and I think it perfectly captures why this stuff isn't just about passing a test. Grammar isn't some random set of rules. It's the actual system we use to organize our thoughts so we can share them with other people in a logical way. It's the architecture of clear thinking. So please, stop thinking of tenses as just rules. They're not. They're your tools. Every single time you pick a tense, you're making a choice. You're the director of your own story, deciding whether to zoom in on an action, create a flashback, or predict what's coming next. And that's our whole journey through time. But really, the adventure is just beginning for you. The next step is to actually use these tools. So think about a story you want to tell, something you did, something you're doing, or a plan you've got. And my question for you is, which tense will you practice first?